Okay, since someone asked for the Premier League edit, we're going to be making that today. Creating a new project, new composition, Premier League edit. So the initial step is the red blurry background kind of comes to become bigger in the screen and covers up the white background. So we're just going to do that. Solid, and that's going to be the white solid, so background, and then just fill white. Add a gradient ramp and select the center for one of the end ramps, and then just outside like this for the other end ramp. And the end color should be a red. So make sure it's a radial ramp, and the start color being a little bit of a red and the end color being a bit of white. Position it like this initially. Go a little bit forward and keyframe the end of ramp out, so like something like that. The next step's going to be having the Manchester logo come in, and going to make it 3D with motion blur. A couple of frames forward, the position here, and then go back to the original and move it out of frame. And go bounce it, and we're going to go 35 and 6. Now it's got that bounce effect. So the next part would be bringing in the players and their banners. So we're just going to import them. Now I've got them making 3D and enable motion blur. For each one, I'm kind of going to make a mask with the rounded rectangle tool, just like that. And increase the feathering quite a bit, so something like that. We're just going to add the rotation that we want. So Harry Maguire is going to pick up a Z rotation of something like that. And Ronaldo is going to pick up a Z rotation of something like that. Make sure Bruno's at the front. And the order of the other two doesn't really matter. I'm just going to make sure they're roughly the same size. The back two, a little bit smaller than Bruno, and bring them a little bit closer like that. Yep. Make sure the logo is the front layer, and we're actually going to scale it up quite a bit, like that. For the banners to come in, we're actually going to edit the masks and the position as well at the same time. So what I mean by that is, and then F9 for the keyframes. That looks pretty good. And we just got to do the same for the position as well. So come here and keyframe to position to here. Go to the start and bring the y-axis down. For this, we're actually going to select both and bounce it using the same parameters as the Manchester logo. Now it looks good. We're just going to do the same for the other two. Keep in mind though, these are rotated, so when the position is to be edited, we're actually going to do it on a diagonal axis. So for that, I always just like to use this Y scale thing instead of, because if you use the Y value, it's actually going to sometimes go straight down. So now I've got all this done, and we're just going to add a little bit of camera movement, which is responsible for the slow zoom in. New camera, and then attaching it to a layered new null object, making the null object 3D. And we're just going to keep in the position and then go a tiny bit forward and then zoom in a little bit. F9. And we're going to bring this first one out of frame a little bit so it's actually started, because if we look at the graph now, it's actually already started the transition, and it's just going to slowly come to a stop. So what we're going to do for this is come about here where the transition kind of slows down, create a keyframe and delete the first keyframe so that the zoom in is just a constant decreasing zoom. So something like that looks good. Now the next step is this kind of flipping the page effect, and all three of these players go down with the logo, and the new Man City logo comes up, and there's a little bit of a change of color with the blue creating the effect of the players coming out of the logo. The next part would be going a little bit more forward into the screen in terms of 3D playing, and these visuals coming down and the new visuals coming up with the red kind of changing into blue. So we'll just do that now. So I've just created a layer. So I've just created a new null object, and I'm going to link the old one to this one. What we're actually going to do is keyframe all the rotations and make the X rotation negative 90 degrees. That's going to be F9, so just to smooth it out. And along with this, we actually need to zoom in, so the position is going to be keyframed, and we're going to go a bit forward, so the same spot, and we're going to go forward here. Just like that. F9 again. Now for the color change, we're going to go to the background layer, so the solid, and keyframe the start color. Go a little bit forward and make it a blue. Now I've got that blue look. So importing the Man City logo, and what we're going to do is come to the end here where the rotation was negative 90, and we're going to make this one's X rotation negative 90 so that it comes up straight, and then centering it using the proportional grid. This is the end of the animation, so this is where it will end up after everything's done. And just watching back, yep. And we're going to keyframe the X rotation, so put it here, come to the start, go 0, F9, and that's going to give us the smooth effect. Now because we don't want the smooth effect, if you look in the actual edit, it has gone a bit down and then come up just to add an effect of the players coming out of the logo. So we're going to try doing that in After Effects. So what I've done here is essentially I made the keyframe with this one being 0 and this one being negative 90, and then I selected a keyframe halfway through here and I put it there and dragged the negative 91 out here. That's all I've done, and we've got this effect now, a cool flip effect. And we're only gonna need the logo here, so we're gonna cut it so that it doesn't interfere with the rest of the animation. Blue glow thing is quite easy. We're just gonna come over here and create a square, so a rectangle, cutting out the stroke, making the fill just a light blue like that, and doing something like that. Getting the rounded rectangle tool, making a mask like that. So for that we actually need to come up here, tool creates mask, and then create our mask, otherwise it's just going to create another layer. And then increase the feathering, make it 3D. Over here, bring it to up here. When we're over here, we want it to be maximum, so negative 77 on the rotation should be good. And it's only going to appear for like a split second, so it's fine if we don't adjust the keyframes. We're just going to cut it here, and then go a little bit forward and cut it out. Thing is too bright, we're just going to decrease the opacity a little bit, just like that. And we're actually going to keyframe the opacity in, so starting 0, something like 66, and then 0 again out here. Now I've got that little blue effect, and that's going to create the illusion of the characters coming out of the logo. Now we're going to import our 3 people. I just chose Grealish, Haaland, and Phil Foden for this. You can choose anyone that you like. So I'm just going to do the same masking for the new ones that I've just added. I'm going to add 3D, so like that. And for this we're just going to follow the normal rotation of the null. So here we're going to go negative 90, and then at the start I'm going to come to the start and go to 0. Just going to F9 for the keyframes and come to the end. Make sure the position is where you would like it. Just forgot to make the Man City logo at the front, so we're just going to do that again. And since the Foden poster seems to have come to the front, we're just going to use that as the front one, and then Haaland and Grealish can go to the side. Just rotate them like that. Make Grealish a bit smaller. Yeah, main character. Just like that. Now we'll see what that looks like. Yep, looks like pretty good to me. And now the only step is we're just gonna make these come out of the logo. So here we're gonna keyframe the scale, take it about a bit further, and come to the original, come to 0, and now they've come out like that. Now the position is also gonna be keyframed here, so just like that. Going to the start, and we're gonna keyframe the position. What we're gonna try to do here is do the same thing with the masks and the position for we did for the last one. So it's coming here, down, and then going up. For the scale, probably should just add a bounce, as well as for the position. Now to make everything neat, we're gonna create a solid, so a mask to which these can only appear, and it's gonna follow the Manchester logo, so like that. And we're gonna make it 3D, something like that. And it's just gonna come down a little bit, so like that. It's gonna come here. And this is gonna be the basis of what these come onto, so toggle switches. And we're gonna pick up these to this layer. Now it's just gonna be like a mask. And it's gonna get bigger, so over here, it's gonna be normal size, and then over here, it can be big enough to cover all the players. So now we've got this little smooth looking effect. I think that looks pretty good. The only thing would be that Phil Foden is kind of coming through the Manchester logo. So we're going to come in here, go into the left camera and see what's happening here. As you can see, he's cutting through here. So what we're just going to do is bring this Manchester logo up. Come back to the original active camera and see how that has changed things. Yep, looks good. Now the only other thing is that this Manchester logo is a little bit static, so we're just gonna add some bounce to it. And the scale of these is a bit slow, so we're just gonna bring all the keyframes a bit closer to each other. See how that looks. Yep. Just making sure that this one scales to a proper size before these come in. Yep. It's turned out pretty good. Now the next step is all 4 of these layers go down, and this circle of all the Premier teams rolls in. It actually took me a while to build this, so I'm going to skip to the part where I've done it, but if you want all the logos, just send a comment through and I'll get to making that Discord server if anyone wants the assets that I use in these tutorials. So on second thought, what I'm actually going to do is we're going to create a new composition, and we're just going to go to Premier League teams, and it's going to be in this that we're actually going to make the circle of all the teams, and then we're just going to import it in as a 3D at the end. So the reason I've made this white background is just so I can see the difference between the surrounding gray and the background. There's no other reason. I'm going to delete it at the end anyways. And for the alignment, what you can do here is create a circle and then just turn the fill on only, so turn the fill off and turn the stroke on black or something, and turn the fill off, and then that way you can just make sure that each of the logos are on the line, just like that. So now that we've got the whole circle of teams, we can just delete the background, and delete the circle. And now we can import this into the Premier League edit, so the main composition obviously. And I just did a simple down movement with the camera, so that was the layer null linking. And we're going to make this 3D. As for the rotation, it has to align initially with the screen parallel. So we're just going to adjust this until that's correct. Looks about -90 on the X rotation. And to achieve this little twirl effect, all I did was keyframe the rotation and the position. So I'm going to show you how to do that now. So go a few seconds ahead and keyframe the position as well as all of the rotation keyframes, just to set the end point of where you think it should end. Now go to the start. Obviously start with bringing the position up, just like that. Notice how the keyframes are going to be on a different axis just because the camera has rotated about 90 degrees on the y-axis, so everything has to be changed differently. So in this case, the up and down is not the y-axis, it's actually the z-axis. And the rotation, you can just play with it. I'm just going to see what this looks like. Obviously F9 for all of the keyframes. And I think that looks pretty decent. All we just have to do is go into the graph and drag the keyframes to the front like that. Got that little twirl effect. So the next step is this little line that appears and the text jumps out of it. Using the pen tool, just creating a straight line like that. The stroke's going to be a bit blue, and we're going to add a deep glow as well. Not too much of a deep glow either, so just putting the attributes down. Could even do with a darker blue, just like that. Now we're going to add a trim path because this needs one. Keyframe everything. Don't forget to make this 3D as well because we're going to add a little bit of camera movement afterwards. And then bring it back to where it was. Obviously it's going to need a rotation of -90 to make it upright. And for the keyframes, all I did was initial keyframe was end 0% and the rest was all the same. This middle keyframe has 100% end and start 0, so the same thing. And then for the last keyframe, so to make this disappear, you want to do a mix, so 38% end and 38% start. That's how you get the line to disappear. You can even offset can be unchecked because we didn't actually use it. For these, just a simple F9 to easy ease will do. And for the effect of the text actually coming up, we're gonna add a matte so that the text only appears when it's in a certain position. The rectangle tool or the rounded rectangle tool, just gonna create a shape like that. Make it 3D and bring it back up with the same rotation of -90 on the X axis. One important thing to notice here is that this effect only works if the fill is on. If the stroke is on, the computer assumes that there is nothing in between and it doesn't map properly. So you'll find that your text is actually invisible because even though there is a circle, a line around this area, it's assuming that it's empty. So for that, we're just going to turn the fill on and turn the stroke off. Now add the text, so in this case 20 teams, and toggle matte and track matte this to the layer. Now we can make the fill black. And add the typewriter effect so that it appears gradually. And we're going to keyframe the position and go back to the first keyframe that we're going to make and obviously go down quite a bit. So that's going to be again lowering the z axis and with a F9 keyframe. I'm gonna bring the keyframe, drag it out just like that. Now for these keyframes, we're just gonna add a bounce. So select bounce and 35.6. That's usually my default go-to. Obviously, bring them closer to the start where you want it to come in. These keyframes have taken a bit too long, so we're just gonna drag them inward. So if anyone wants to know how I got that red glow behind the text, it's really simple. Just create a new solid and go like this, and then click the mask, and on the same layer we're just gonna create a mask like that and increase the feathering, something like that, and increase the blur. So add a blur, maybe fast lens blur, something like that. Just like that, you've got the red thing on the back. Just keyframe the opacity to when it should appear. So I think 0 here, 100 here. Oh, sorry. How much ever here? 10 here. And then again 0. It's just a little flash of light. So now I've got to do the camera movement. So creating a new null object and linking the previous null that was linked to the camera, just to that. Regular zoom using position keyframes, keeping in mind that the zooming in is not Z on the Z axis this time, it's actually on the Y axis because of the transformations that occurred earlier. Now we're just going to add a new null, and we're going to go to the side with the movement. So start it when the blue line starts to appear, and then go a little bit forward. Just like that. We've done that with the F9 as well. So as you can see, the next part is a slow zoom out, and this text comes up with the cool trophies appearing just from behind the text with the yellow glow. So we'll do the rest of that now. Creating a new null object and linking null 6 or the next null to the new null, obviously. I'm going to start this one halfway between the keyframes of the previous one, just so that it kind of smoothly transitions. So again, moving the Y axis this time and selecting both keyframes, F9, we're going to smooth out the movement. Might just bring them out a bit further as well. Graph a little bit sharper. So something like this is good, and you want to go into the graph, and once it hits here, you want to cut everything out. So by that, I just mean all of the other layers and the background as well, because we're going to need a black background for this next part. The text has to go as well, and the shape layer as well. So to get this little shake on the who will win text, we're just going to use the bounce effect. So with that, it's just going to be the position and keyframe, the position and the Z rotation only, and go a little bit forward, so a couple of frames, and bring them, keyframe them again, and then go back to the first one. We're just going to add a little bit of tilt and a little bit of movement here, just like that. Select both, add a bounce to both. 35 and 6, usually good. And drag it out so that the first keyframe is out of frame, because otherwise it's going to start at, the movement's going to start at this keyframe, and it's not going to look as good. So now if you play it, it looks like that. Whereas if we'd started it at the start, it'd look like that. the difference is quite significant, and it looks much better if the keyframes are here, and it's just a slight tilt when the text actually appears. So yeah. Now for the trophies, we're gonna use the same technique of track matting. So creating a rectangle and making it 3D, obviously positioning it just above the who will win text. And once it gets to here, I'm actually going to link it using the parent link so that over here it tilts automatically. So I've just imported the trophy and added a little bit of a deep glow to it. Now I'm going to toggle switch modes and track mat it to the layer. So obviously the layer disappears and you can see this little hint of trophy here. So we're going to add a little bit of rotation to the trophy because in the end you'll see the trophy is actually going to move. So the Z rotation, just changing it a little bit. And with the position, we're just going to keyframe it in a few frames forward and bring it up a little bit. Just like that. Add the bounce again. And I've realized I made it a bit too small, so just increasing the scale as well. So just like that, and we're done. So we're going to do the same for the other side, so just duplicate the trophy, and obviously whatever number there is on the Z rotation, do the opposite. So if it was -21, we're going to do +21 now. Drag them across to where you want. So go to the last keyframe. Make sure you're on the keyframe, otherwise it will create a new one for some reason. And bring it up to here. Now we look at, yep, looks good. Add a little bit of buffer, so I'm just going to drag this out a little bit so it doesn't look the exact same on both sides. Now for that little glow behind it, that's just the same thing with the pen tool. We're going to create a little shape behind it like that. And change the fill to a little bit of a yellow. Just go lens blur. Doesn't really have to be 3D, to be honest. And obviously decrease the opacity still. Just like that. Now I'm just gonna keyframe the opacity. So in here, we're just gonna go 28 at the start 0, 28, and then disappear really quickly. So it's not the best looking shape. So we're gonna make it disappear quite quick. Just like that. It can even come in earlier. Duplicate it and drag the new one to the other side. Obviously include it for the buffer. Acknowledge the buffer. And now, yep. The next part's really simple. The trophies just come to the center. Their rotation doesn't really have to change, but if you want to, you can reset the rotation and the Premier League trophy appears, and we zoom in. It's important that these go in at the same time, so I'm just going to keyframe here, position, and go a little bit forward, and bring them to the center, just like that. So after it's come in, you want to select both and Control-Shift-D to make sure that they're still not attached to the mat. Otherwise, they will disappear when you take them out of the little square area that you've allowed them to be. So toggle switches mode and uncheck the mat track matting like that. Now keyframe the position again, so we're gonna do it again and bring it to the center this time. Just like that. I'm gonna F9 both and just make sure that it's a slow increase. Obviously here, this is where you want to cut out everything in the frame. Now we're going to make the background. So just duplicating this little background over here, dragging it out here. Want a little bit of red, so we're just going to increase the redness a little bit, just like that. And drag out the point. Good thing we made everything 3D because we're going to need another zoom in. So a new null object will be needed. Obviously same thing with the position. We're just going to come to here and we think it should start and then go a little bit forward and zoom in a bit. So I've just imported the Premier League logo, and now if we look at how everything looks, it's perfect. Going back to the original edit, this is all for the tutorial, and if you guys do want the assets, again, just someone's comment and I'll make a Discord with all the assets for free. Other than that, keep editing and making sure that you are looking out for copyright. I can't stress that enough. And let me know what you want a tutorial of, because this was actually just a suggestion from one of the bros in the comments, and let me know what you want next and I'll make sure to keep up with you guys' requests.